consequences.
Well, I think this is going to tie into what we talked to Mike about in the next segment and why you're running for governor.
I am.
And one of the problems isn't just that the party politics, but the way the party politics is tied to state government and the corruption that goes on with the little families that are in charge of everything around here. And we'll dig into that because if we want to have the thing between you guys later, that's fine. But what you have to tell us about, and you've been talking about it for years now?
Years,
okay. And this really needs to keep coming out, and we really need to talk about the people at the top in the AG's office and state government and the political parties and their connections.
It's a business.
It's a business.
They're all corrupt.
And we want
They come out of 2 law firms.
Yeah.
I mean, the house is on fire. We're talking about arranging the furniture. I mean, I have hard evidence right through, even with George here.
Yeah.
Unless, George, you want to tell everybody you weren't getting 20% from the victims.
Actually, there was an offer made to me to be the potential lobbyist for one of the families and potentially others, but I didn't force anyone.
Well, we can talk to all the families.
You can go ahead.
Said 20%, and George said, "I don't know if I can trust you. I don't have a handshake. I don't have a contract. Maybe a handshake. You know what we can do? We can just line up about 40 of them. I already talked to them all and go through witness groups, right?" George, don't bullshit. We had this conversation. Actually. You know Richard Head's notes? You know, the one that knew about the Ponzi scheme in 2003. You know who gave them to me? This guy right here, George Lambert. You know, Richard Head's trying to get a summary judgment on me now on a forged tax return, right? How'd you get those notes, George? From the AG's office.
I went and asked him for them.
Oh, you went from asking. It only proved that the Ponzi scheme that they knew about at the AG's office and the Banking Commission in 2003. How's that? And do you know why we have those and why George gave them to me? Because it would have given them evidence to overturn FRM, give them pennies on the dollar with the explanation you are not to carry this forward. Do not investigate. George, we had that conversation. In fact, you told me to shut up and we had 12 votes. Or are you going to call me a liar?
Oh, I actually believe we had 12 votes.
Oh, you bet your ass you had 12 votes because it was fixed. That's why.
What was fixed?
The vote was fixed. How did he know the 12 votes already? I am telling you what this is. And that document, by the way, George, you might be laughing. It's with the Justice Department right now. And I put the case number up on the Internet. How many hits we had? Downloaded the case number to go on to a complaint? 1,000 by 6 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
My goal is 50,000, which also be a formula how to turn around and confront this corruption. So you talk about grassroots, right?
Yeah, this is
grassroots?
This is the root
corruption.
Of the problem. To get to the corruption, we can't use. I don't think we can use. Obviously, the state, the government, the court system.
Not one person in this state, which is why it's open for business. Bill Shaheen is part of this with Gene Shaheen. Yeah. Who do you think put Hassan in? Hassan told herself she owes a career. Ayotte came from the AG. Who do you think covered it up? Right. They wanted this to go away. I've only had a dozen death threats. You can only see how on the Internet.
How do we get around the state court system, though?
Department of Justice.
Okay.
And guess what? I have a case number there. I got 3 state immunities going on right now, high-level officials. That's right. And if I can get them immunity and get them to turn around and I sign a release, we're going to find out everything.
This is so important because we talk about every court case, from vote fraud to everything. It's all screwed up.
And right down to the police. Every one of them is leveraged by the other. Why do you think these guys get in trouble? They get off in trouble over and over again. You don't think they may know something? Look at Hildreth. All he said was, if I go down, the governor goes down. He gets a 1-bedroom apartment in Kansas City. Now, why do you think he's there? Right. I only found him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in Kansas City?
That's right. 1-bedroom apartment.
We're going to have to dig into that a little bit.
We're not talking about a 1-bedroom apartment with bars, are we?
No. But we should be. He only had 2 of his brothers on the Ponzi scheme. You think that? And then turned around and think about this. The prosecution of FRM was done by John Kakavas, who only did work for me. And I went this close and told him I was putting his ass in jail. You can ask him. He prosecuted FRM. You know who was the defense attorney for FRM? Mark Howard, his business partner 3 months before. And for the 8 years before that. If you're going to commit a crime, you better hope your best friend's on the other side. And that's what he had.
Yeah.
That's corruption.
There is, and it's not just this issue; it's everything. This whole state. We've talked to people, national guests who write for, they talk about the way the court system works in the state. They talk about how, everything from civil asset forfeiture all the way to the state suing gasoline companies, petrol companies for stuff that's in the water that they said to put in the gasoline or whatever, and it's just. And
you mean when MBTE was mandatory
exactly.
until they found out
and then they sued them all, and it's like you told us to put it in there, and now you're suing us for putting it in there, and it just.
I can't tell you how many businesses that I speak to. U.S. Brave Springs were just one. They had a $70 million contract annually with the UN for water. Bill Shaheen wanted the Billy tax. You know how many people won't come in, businesses won't come in this state? Do you know we were the worst state in creating jobs in the country?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they won't pay the tax, the Billy tax. I only have a check for an extortion for $100,000 with his ass on it.
Excellent.
Excuse me.
Billy tax. Oh, that's okay. We're not FCC regulated.
Good.
So it's the Billy tax because we talking about the business enterprise tax?
Bill Shaheen.
Yeah, I know.
Shaheen and Gordon.
I know.
Gene, you want to do business in state? Listen, I wanted to put up a sign. Only cost me $100,000.
Oh.
Right, and I have the check. And they said if you cash it, it's criminal.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, I have it, and so does the Justice Department. And I only have a controller who worked for me for 30 years. Her husband got in trouble for child molestation. Shaheen leveraged him. Right. You can have your 3 daughters be taken away from you, your husband goes to jail, or you can work for us. Now, what I'm saying is in court documents. Right. Bill Shaheen.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to, this is, we're almost at the end of this segment, but we're going to go into, I want to ask you, well, I'll ask you in the next segment since I'm all out of time, but I don't think that federal court case is going to get much traction until we have somebody in the White House who will actually not try to get in the way and defend the Shaheens, right?
Well, we can't do it. I'll tell you why. Ready? Every president-elect goes into these states, and you know what they seek out? The power brokers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what the power brokers are? Generally the guy who's the most corrupt. Guess what? I mean, who do you think Hillary Clinton's campaign manager is? The same one Bill Shaheen and Gene had.
All right, we're going to get into this in a minute. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. Yep.
When asked whether she still supports Obamacare, Senator Jean Shaheen said,
"Yes, I do continue to support the law. We're beginning to see some positive results."
How can Senator Shaheen say we're seeing positive results when 22,000 of our neighbors have already lost their health insurance? What's worse, the Boston Globe reports the state's only health insurance provider radically reduced the number of hospitals in their network, forcing some people to drive over an hour for lab work, even when there's a hospital within a few miles of their home. When pressed about lack of access, Shaheen said,
"There are some hospitals that are not covered, unfortunately, and I certainly hope that's going to change."
Jean Shaheen promised us we could keep our doctors and our health care coverage. Now she hopes we can get to a local hospital? Call Senator Shaheen at 603-647-7500. Tell her we need more than hope. We need leadership. Paid for by Citizens for a Strong New Hampshire.
Hi, this is Rich Gerard, host of Gerard at Large in the Morning, the Manchester area's only locally owned, locally operated, focused, and interested, riveting radio show, heard live every Monday through Friday from 6 to 9 on 90.7 FM WLMW, New Hampshire Family Radio, and available 24/7 live or archived at GerardAtLarge.com. Be sure to tune in.
This is the Coalition of New Hampshire Taxpayers. We're located at 8 North Main in Concord, New Hampshire. This is the repository for all things conservative and municipal. So if you have a problem in your town, your school, your budget committee, the right to know law, and now at the top of our list is voter fraud. If you have a tip for us, some information for us, you want to join or help us out, cnht.org.
Hi, this is Rich Gerard, host of Gerard at Large in the Morning. You're listening to Grok Talk.
3, 2, 1.
We'd like to welcome you to another edition of GROK Talk, brought to you by New Hampshire's leading conservative blog site, GraniteGROK.com. We are your feared extremist, right-wing, hard-charging, gun-toting, opinionated, outspoken, rabble-rousing, letter-writing, radio microphone stomping conservatives and rational libertarians. So get ready for more news and opinion you could only get from GraniteGROK.com.
GROK Talk.
All right, we're back. Welcome to GROK Talk, brought to you by the Coalition of New Hampshire Taxpayers and GraniteGROK.com. Make sure you check us out on Spreaker, iHeart, Stitcher, TuneIn, iTunes, YouTube, Google+, GraniteGROK.com, of course, which is where you might be listening to this program right now. Please remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. All right, well, we didn't anticipate that this was going to happen, but, well, it's here, and we're going to go with it.
It's lively. So FRN has been a controversy for a long time in New Hampshire. It was an evil Ponzi scheme. A lot of people got defrauded out of their life savings. The state has repeatedly failed to prosecute it, and now we have two people that are actually involved in that mess from different angles, both in the studio, and it's going to get lively, folks. So let's go. We have George Lambert and Mike Gill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well,
Go ahead with your accusation.
Well, accusation? How about this accusation? For years now, right? I've been putting stuff on my sign, running these videos, right? Who's suing me? Name one person who's suing me. Name one person who says I'm lying. When I said Shaheen ran the Ponzi scheme, Shaheen put Hildreth in. Hildreth had his brothers on it. Gallagher was Hildreth's best friend, who was protecting him. Now, George, I made it very direct. I ran victims group now, didn't I, with these FRN people? And didn't I go there? Have I charged them anything? Said I was going to charge them anything?
I have no idea.
Right. How about this? Who's worked closer with them than me?
Probably no one.
Right. So, you know, I have sat down and talked to them. I've seen them cry. I've seen them not have money to buy teeth. I've seen all this. Mm-hmm. They all came to me and said that you were getting 20%. You came to them.
No,
and when I talked to Kevin Avard, who you were working with, had no idea you were getting 20%. Or is that not true?
That was totally true.
Oh, so why wouldn't you tell the state senator who was putting in the bill, who was sitting across next to you on the table, that you were getting paid? Do you think it might have hurt their chances knowing that you were going to pull 20% out? And think about this. What were you doing getting 20%?
That was the number they offered me. One family, not all the victims, one family said, you know, we would like your help, and if we recover money, we will pay you 20%, and we'll ask other people if they wanted to contribute. Doesn't matter.
Oh, so we're having a fund for you. We're contributing with a nice big fat can around the victims and say, who wants to give George Lambert money? How about this, George? First of all, I don't believe you, and I believe that was the deal, and I think we can prove it.
Go ahead.
How about this? Nobody's proven anything I've done wrong, and I've proven everything I've said, which is why I'm not being sued by all these large law firms, which is why the banking commissioner, which I call as a crook, won't take my license, right? Because Furlow's an insurance defender. Now, why is an insurance defender from the AG's office, who I reported the Ponzi scheme to, and came from McLean? See? So, in other words, that is the case. How about this, George? If we go with your side of the story, which is not true, it's completely immoral. How about this? Let's charge victims for recovery. You're running for an office. Listen, I'm not going to tell you.
No, that discussion happened after I lost my election, and they asked me to continue.
Oh, they asked you. Now, why do you think they came to you? You know what they came to me and said? George Lambert told us not to tell you, in particularly. No. And they said, we feel uncomfortable with it. Listen, you said no. How many people you want here next week?
I wish I had room.
Yeah, like I said, we're going to have to schedule it a couple of weeks out to give them a fair showing.
Yeah.
But let's give George a chance to talk for a couple of minutes, Mike. I understand you're wound up.
Hey, listen, George can say everyone. Listen, let's have George talk. Let's see how it goes.
All right. Well, as long as you give him a little while to talk,
of course I will.
Then you can rebut his arguments. Because if we just talk over each other, we're not going to get there.
Of course, I understand.
And by the way, I'm going to put on the table, not because I'm saying this to defend George, but we're talking about here recovery actions of money in a difficult situation, for which my understanding
is corrupt situation that was run by with the governor and and Bill Shaheen.
Fine. But regardless of how it was done, when you have a legal suit to recover money, typically the attorney is not doing it totally pro bono, and usually there's a contingency fee that says...
Right, but who's the attorney here?
Well, okay, that says if I lose It's my cost, and if we win, I get a small take. And I'll be perfectly frank with you. Most big firms that get into this stuff,
it's illegal,
are looking for 30%.
It's illegal. He's not an attorney. He's not a lobbyist. So you can come to his aid all you want.
All right, no. Like I said, I was just putting that on the table as the fact that recovery actions typically involve.
Let's take the money from the guys who commit suicide. Oh, we can't get them. Now there was 3 the other last year. But go ahead, George.
Right. So now let's give George the floor for a minute to explain.
Absolutely.
Or to tell us the sequence of events and to explain what he's doing and why it's not illegal.
I worked on getting this bill and support for this bill when I was running for Senate. I was very open and upfront about that. I went and saw the Attorney General, Richard Head, at the Attorney General's office. I collected material. I sent it out to everyone. When I was in the House...
What material?
I got Richard Head's notes. I got all kinds of stuff from the website.
What did it say on his notes?
It said all kinds of things.
Well, did it say about the Ponzi scheme and FRM and how they all knew about it in the Attorney General's office? Let's not call it material. Let's call it what it is. Go ahead.
After I lost my election...
What was in the notes, George?
All right. So let's.
Well, wait a minute.
Hang on. Let's stipulate a couple of things here. So there was a Ponzi scheme running with the knowledge of those in state offices and state law enforcement who should have been shutting it down.
Well, he got the notes from the AG, so they had it in 2003. So yeah, from the attorney from the Banking Commission. So when we call it material, I mean, hey, listen, this is a piece of paper. What's on it? So let's find out. George, you did read the notes, right? What did because I still have the notes, and so does the Justice Department. What does the note say, George?
I told you that the notes, the handwritten notes from Richard Head, were different and inconsistent.
Who was he talking to? What were the notes? There was one set of notes with a conversation. Now, who was he having the conversation with?
Actually, there were lots and
lots. The woman that you were running against. You shouldn't remind...
Oh, yeah. We had conversations with Donna Soucy.
Oh, there were the notes were in the discussion to Donna Soucy exclusively, and then it was their conversation about other people, like me. But go ahead. So do we agree on those notes?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so we do agree on those notes.
Well, hang on. We're not getting a chance to get a coherent...
We said material and skipped through it. How incoherent do you want to be? Would it only turn around the material spells out the Ponzi scheme that the AG's office and the Banking Commission knew?
I get it, but can you pick it apart after he said a few words instead of...
Well, he said material and went through it.
All right.
Which I shared with anybody who wanted it. What I was trying to do is
Who'd you share it with, George, besides myself?
They're
going to be witnesses. Go ahead, George. I want to hear it. Who? You gave it to many people.
Yes, and
Who are they?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I will have
First
to
of all, many, and we don't know. I mean, Jesus. Go ahead.
Well,
what? Many and not one? I'm the only one? He was only running against that candidate whose notes was hers with Head's. Head's only trying to shut me up with a summary judgment right now. Right.
I get
because of them finding out this.
I get all that, but if we stop George word by word, we're not going to get.
Well, when you talked about material with information that quite literally would put these people in jail, I think it's worth more than a material statement.
We just don't have that kind of time, Mike. We have to let him get his words out. You can go ahead and rebut him after.
I'm fine, but you did hear him say many and then come up with zero.
I got that. And
I want George to go forward. Keep going, George.
Well, yeah. If you stop interrupting him, we'll get more, and then you can pick it apart later. Okay?
Right. Well, we're out of time. Go ahead, George.
For this 15 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
But there's more. There's more. You've got more time.
Go ahead, George.
Go, please.
After I lost my Senate race, the people I'd been working with to collect the information and sort of construct the whole story so that we could go out and communicate it to people in very small, understandable sound bites, because it's a very complicated situation, asked me if I would continue, and I said, really, I could potentially do something, and they said, well, we had a meeting, and, they said that if I would actually work on contingency for them, that, they would actually pay me. They picked the number. They picked the terms. they said, a lawyer is paid this way. This is not in front of a judge or anyone else. And I didn't force anyone to do it. I didn't force anyone to sign a contract. I was working in good faith for the best interest of all of the victims and said, I'm not forcing anyone to do anything. Now, if that's if somebody wants to make a separate accusation, go ahead. Show it. Prove it. Bring anybody you want. But that's not me. People have known me for years. And I actually was trying to do the right thing.
Right. Well, I can bring all the victims, and
Go ahead.
they did say that I will. And you know something? They came to me about it. How about this, George? You just explained you broke the law.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you're not a lawyer. You're not a lobbyist. You broke the law. You didn't even tell, when you sat in that hearing and you spoke to it, did you tell that panel that you were getting paid? You were the same guy who voted against FRM before. Before you didn't vote for it. Now you get paid, now you will. Everything I'm saying I can prove. And, how about this, George? Is Richard Head, the Assistant Attorney General, a criminal? And is he corrupt?
I don't believe that any court of law has actually found him to be a criminal.
That wasn't my question. I didn't ask you. I'm saying your personal information. You only took the guy's notes. Is Richard Head a criminal and corrupt?
I have serious concerns about the fact that there's a difference between his handwritten notes and the report he submitted to the Governor Executive Council. That gives me a great deal of concern, which is why as soon as I found that out...
The same guy he has concerns about being a criminal is the same guy who took, while he's running an election, his notes. Now think about that. And you know what in those notes?
And I gave them to you.
Criminality. You're right. Who else you give them to? Who else you give them to? Right, you know why they gave them to me? I'll tell you why. So they knew I was going to be present at that meeting because I promised the victims I was. And I turned around and went to these people and told them about these notes. They knew I was going to do it. The only way they could have turned FRM over and gave them money was new evidence. How's that for new evidence that they produced? So they wanted to turn around and had George leverage it with these people to turn around then sign releases that they wouldn't go after Hildreth. They were going to say, oh, it's just Hildreth. They weren't going to go after Shaheen and the real corruption in this state. Right. That's exactly what happened. You can get all excited and all, but
I'm
listen,
not getting excited.
I will prove everything.
Calm.
You want these victims here? I'll have them here. I was at that hearing. You know, after you spoke, you walked right the hell out. I've got a tape of the on notice. You can get to see it. It's on the internet. And Kakavis only resigned 2 weeks later. You know why? Because I was on his trail and have a witness that I'm going in for immunity with that would put Kakavis in jail. And it goes right back to Richard Head, which you know is corrupt.
I only can tell you what I've seen, and I said it gives me serious concern, which is what I told you in your
When
office.
did you have concerns? After you took the notes or before the notes?
No,
Richard Head's been in every dirty piece of business in this state. What do you think they sent it? Judge McHugh, Richard Head. That's how it works.
I have had concerns about a bunch of things at the Department of, at the Attorney General's office, but after actually going and sitting with Richard for a number of hours, I think he means well, but he's got a lawyer.
He's a crook, and you know he's a crook. He is an absolute crook. Listen, the AG's office is the cover team. Every time something goes wrong in the state, you go to the AG. I mean, the only ones that get fired out of the AG are their own people, and then they get hired back. You know why? Because they hold the secret. Why do you think Hildreth is in Kansas City and behind bars? Because he has the secret. He only went in open court. If I go to jail, I'm taking Lynch and Shaheen with me. Right? Anybody figured they'd want to ask the question? Oh, I don't know. Why would you say that? No one did. They tapped him on the ass and said, oh, he plays Dungeons & Dragons 7 hours a week. The whole prosecution was corrupt. Alex Walker was part of it, my personal attorney. That I'm the one who brought the Ponzi scheme to him. And you know who I brought the Ponzi scheme to? Walker, Kakavis. And then I went to the AG's office. You know who I talked to? Furlow, who now became the banking commissioner. When does an insurance defender become your banking commissioner? Right. Wilbur was the banking commissioner. You can't find him with a search warrant. He left. Didn't say why he was leaving. You know why? Furlow told me he was a Boy Scout. Wilbur looked at it and goes, I'm not dealing with this cover-up. So the insurers cover it up. Now, why do you think the insurers might cover up? Right? You don't think we could have a class action suit with a corrupt banking commission, do you? There's the answer.
We're going to take 30 seconds, and I want to talk about your...
I would have thought that a class action suit would be exactly what the victims would want, as long as there wasn't too big a cut being taken.
Right, but it's all the attorneys in the state. How are you going to get one? Listen, I only get an ad for $10 million.
The bar in this state is
$10 million for an attorney for 2 years, and I can't get one. Now, what do they know that no one else knows? The PCC, Ronnie Wise, controls that. Here's a 64,000 question. How can all these attorneys be controlled? By their license.
Right.
Okay.
We're going to take a short break. I want to talk about your run for governor when we come back. Stay tuned, people. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Rich Gerard, host of Dread in the Morning, the Manchester area's only locally owned, locally operated, focused, and interested riveting radio show, heard live every Monday through Friday from 6 to 9 on 90.7 FM WLMW, New Hampshire Family Radio, and available 24/7 live or archived at GerardAtLarge.com. Be sure to tune in.
This is the Coalition of New Hampshire Taxpayers. We're located at 8 North Main in Concord, New Hampshire. This is a repository for all things conservative and municipal. So if you have a problem in your town, your school, your budget committee, the right to know law, and now, at the top of our list is voter fraud. If you have a tip for us, some information for us, you want to join or help us out, cnht.org.
All right, this is GROK Talk.
Another time. Hey.
All right.
Yeah.
Whisper. All right. Mike's running for governor. Well, he brought up another case in Pennsylvania that I want to talk about because it's kind of been a corruption-based morning. And
it's going to be a corruption-based campaign.
It is good. Okay, so Pennsylvania, you were talking about when we were on the break.
I was the world champion in horse racing. Won more race than any man's ever lived. You know, so in other words, I'm not this guy who fell off the pumpkin truck, right? Had the largest brokerage firm in the country, too. In Pennsylvania, 2010, I noticed jockeys pulling horses and so forth. I went to the feds and so forth. This was going on. It turned out to be one of the biggest organized crimes syndicates in the country. They issued 3 weeks ago 50 target letters in Pennsylvania. So, and then it went into, I don't know if you noticed, but the mayor of Harrisburg, for 32 years, just got taken off to jail. And now all these judges are coming forward. And what I was trying to tell people is the corruption in multiple states like this. And Pennsylvania was paying people off. In fact, while they were being investigated by the FBI, Penn National turned around and got a racing license in Massachusetts. Now, who gets a racing license when they're under indictment? They do. You know why? They bribe. They pay people off. And you know something? You see Rockingham here? Who do you think's going there, and who do you think's getting paid? That's right, Bill. I name names. No one makes a move like that. But what I did was, I uncovered this, which in itself would have seemed impossible when it came in. You can read all the articles. In fact, I was on E60 on ESPN, the most hated man in racing, because I was only telling them they were all cheating.
Right.
So here's the plan, to take something so large that is getting national coverage, and I'm going to drop it right on top of this state. I said, you think that's corrupt? Here you go. Here's state corruption. See
now
how
you
that
said
money?
Jockeys pulling horses. What does that mean?
The jockeys were cheating and fixing races. They were betting money through a wire service to Singapore. You know that guy Zayed and all of a sudden had problems with people in Singapore? They used Penn National Wire. It's an illegal betting thing. That's why they couldn't sue him. Right, they could shoot him, but they just couldn't sue him. And that's what I found. And they used the same wiring system to bribe people. And what I'm saying in Pennsylvania is happening right now. This is why I brought this up here. This is why I timed this. I have that breaking national news to show them the state corruption. And that's what happens. Industry, politicians. Pennsylvania was open for business. But I can tell you this. From top to bottom, I will put the corruption in this state that trickles to mass. I've got 8 federal judges that if I get these immunities, they go to prison. 8.
And this is kind of the cornerstone of your run for governor.
It is. I turn around and I will be.
So now let's lay it out.
Well, the first thing is I was a businessman and a father. That's really what I am. I had no intentions to be a politician. I only went to the governor, the AG's office, and figured, it's them. So, and it's not like I haven't tried for help, and it's not like I haven't put it out there. So here's the choice. I turned down $50 million on the internet. So here's the choice. If we turn around and just ignore this and walk away with the money. So I had a choice of a lifetime. The lifetime now was how I live the rest of my life is more important than that money. And this will continue to go on until someone says, I won't take the bribe, I won't get paid, I won't gonna turn around and keep going. What we have to do is go to the people. We the people, we're the only ones left. It can't be in this state. What I'm telling you, my goal is the case number that I created in this state, I'm going to have 50,000 people ask for that case number to be looked at. 50,000. So if we have 50,000, they just might have to be forced to look at it. And believe me, if they look at it, I mean just a peek, they all go to jail. Why do you think I'm getting immunities now? It is shocking. When Richard Head comes out of the wall, you know, listen, what do you think I'm getting one of the immunities for? Dickhead. Right. And he's trying to summary judge because they know I'm close. Desperate people make desperate moves. What we have to do is have people understand how close we are. I mean, what do you have? Live free or die? If you don't have injustice in the courts and your politicians, we only asked our children to go to war. To fight for what? Honor and justice? When the people are corrupt there. Shaheen, target IRS and so forth, I'm dealing with all this. What do you think she got in trouble with? For targeting your enemies with the IRS office. Right?
Yeah.
Given the, what's the word I'm looking for? Given the altitude of this, I know you said you've had death threats.
Listen, my death threats are on the internet.
Are they? Yeah, well, that's what we would do. That's what anybody would do if they got them, because the first thing you do is you make them public and you go, look, this is what I'm.
First thing I did was go to the FBI, Mass and New Hampshire.
Yeah.
They only attacked me in Bedford, almost attacked me. You know why? They're not going to touch that evidence. You know why they almost attacked me? Because they wouldn't take the evidence. They asked me to go through a metal detector. I took my phone, threw it across the metal detector, and the guy caught it. I got his fingerprints. Right. That's how bold you have to be. Listen, I said this too. You know how to live in hell? First of all, you got to recognize that you're there, and then you got to get comfortable.
Yeah.
And I'm comfortable. I have no fear, and that's
I was going to say I mean, we see presidential candidates. We see a lot of high-level people in politics and government. We get to meet senators. We get to talk to over coffee, you know. And so, when I got involved in blogging, it became very easy to take that lofty position that they like to have, you know, judges and governors and things like that, and completely throw it away because it's all manufactured, because they're just regular people, and you go and you talk to them, and they're like, hey, how you doing? You know, I mean, I know hundreds of House reps. So what? In some states you say that, and they're like, oh, really? Like you talk to your senators and stuff, and so people have this perception that there's this power that these people have. And it's kind of false. The regular
it's called fear.
It's called fear. Right?
There is power.
It's regular. There is, and that's what I'm getting to. Because, you know, on TV, you see senators who are pulling strings to get people executed. You see all this crazy stuff, and not everything on TV is real, but that power is real, and those people are intimidated by anybody who poses a threat to that power. And so you're doing that. And
these text messages that threaten my children's life, tell me where they are, how they're going to kill them, also says that he works for these people, that the state of New Hampshire is corrupt. His name is Ted Little. I even know who it is. He was one of my attorneys who were working for them. You see in the text messages he's flying his kids to California before he comes forwards. Right. So in other words, there's enough evidence. Listen, anytime you have the option between saying it's crazy or let's explain it and explain it away. Anybody explaining anything away? No. I've only put everything on my signs. On this, I am telling you it is true. And I think if we can gather people here and have courage, the most insidious thing that has been done, and I'll bet you when you speak to people, they'll turn around and say, we know it's corrupt, but what can we do? We are trained and conditioned to accept corruption from the same people who's going to put you in jail. Well, you know what? I don't accept that. They haven't converted me to think it was okay. And if we get enough people behind us, and that's the basis of running for governor, is to turn around and unite these people. You say grassroots. The grassroots and commonality is that people know it's corrupt, and they know the truth. They know I'm saying the truth. I see it in the comments. You know who I have issues with on the blogs, and I put them out for you, so if you guys look at it. They're cops. All cops.
Yeah. The cops are the ones saying we know it's corrupt?
No, the cops are saying, oh, it's crap.
Oh, okay.
He's paranoid.
Okay. All right.
You're bit. So I only got somebody at the assistant AG's office. I tracked that down. He was, oh, this is all paranoid. Turns out he's working for the AG's office.
Yeah, no, that's and you have the evidence. We're running on the end of the segment, and that's important. And the blog site,
stateofcorruption.org.
Stateofcorruption.org.
Listen,
okay.
I put the evidence out there. You can see it. You can see Richard Head's notes. Bang. You can read them yourself. So if anybody questions what they say, you get to read them.
Are there any national legal groups at all interested in this? I know, like...
I have 2 presidential candidates interested in this.
Oh, good.
Right. One I've been working with for 6 months. You know, they want to see where this falls.
Oh,
and
yeah.
if it looks like they come in for a hero, then they're really scoop in.
Well, of course.
I haven't taken their money, and I haven't taken any of the help yet. But I can show you a phone where they keep calling me.
That's important. But and that's another thing about the election year and running for governor. There's a lot of focus on the state. There's a lot of media in the state, so the timing's really good. You have the evidence. If you have the people, I mean, this is the time to do it. And so that's a really great way to do it.
Which is why I'm right here.
Right.
There's
exactly.
the strategy. And as that's going down in Pennsylvania, for the little extra understanding what I'm doing, it's all coming to the same place.
We got about a minute. Now, I seem to remember reading initially when you first started becoming public about all this stuff, about something with racing, but it was down in Kentucky or something. I don't remember if I read it wrong.
Pennsylvania.
It was all Pennsylvania.
It was all Pennsylvania.
Okay.
It was only the Genovese family. Now, what I'm saying is I caught wires coming up here, right? Posted them. Do you remember about a year ago, the front page of the Boston Globe, 3 people from the New England Costa Nostra. Not my words, them. Do you know I had all 3 in the wire transfers from Penn National up here? They own nudie bars.
Yeah.
Also bookies.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, sir.
Things that are over the border in Massachusetts because we don't allow them here.
Oh, listen, Massachusetts doesn't have anything on the corruption of New Hampshire, but they are blood brothers.
Yeah.
And you can't work with one without working with the other. I found that out.
Well, I'm sure there's something going on when certain types of businesses are on one side of the border and certain types are on the other because of the way the taxes and laws work out.
Well, it depends how much you have to pay. Bill Shaheen's a little greedy.
Well, I definitely want to talk about him. We're out of time. We're going to have our next guest, James Simpson, author of Red Green Axis. We videotaped him a couple days ago talking about his book. We're going to have him on to talk about refugee resettlement. Gentlemen, Mike, George.
Thank you.
Mike, hi. Thank you very much for coming in. You talk too much. All right. Stay tuned. We will be right back. We got to make a phone call.